Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Module 4 of EDU 680, Professional Learning in Schools. My name is Dr. Anita Stewart McCafferty, and I'm a faculty member with the Educational Leadership Department at the University of Southern Maine. And I'm excited to be able to walk you through Module 4 of this course. And so think about this. By the time you make it through this week, you will be more than halfway through this accelerated online course. So congratulations to you and keep up the dedicated work. Module 4 is focused on the power of collaboration. So in this module, we're really going to think about professional learning communities, which through our common read has been a through line, but we're going to look at it carefully and in a deep kind of way in this module. We're also going to look at team effectiveness, collective efficacy, that kind of thing. How can you really harness the power of the team? Our guiding questions for this week are: how do we strengthen our collaborative opportunities for professional learning? How do we create and sustain healthy professional learning communities and teams? How do we harness the power of collective efficacy in order to improve our schools and districts? And how do we create healthy partnerships with our community, our universities, Department of Education, or professional organizations in order to assist us with our professional learning needs? We have three main objectives for this module. One is that we're able to analyze methods and models of improving team effectiveness. The second, to explain how educators can use teams and learning communities to help their schools and district achieve its goals and how they can effectively harness the power of teams. And the third is to describe how to design job-embedded and other opportunities for professional learning collaboratively with faculty and staff. So during this week, we're going to continue with our reading of our PLC Plus book, The Better Decisions and Greater Impact by Design. You're going to be asked to read chapter 4, which is really focused around the guiding question: how do we move learning forward? And so there's one chapter there, and similarly to the course, by the time you complete this week's reading, you will be more than halfway through that book. Now, for those of you who have been reading the companion guide, this was not a required book, but it was just a suggestion as a playbook, the PLC Plus playbook. Modules 10 through 13 are really focused around that guiding question: how do we move learning forward? So that might be some interesting reading and work that you can do as a companion. In addition, this week, you will be asked to read 2 chapters from Teaching Strategies That Create Assessment Literate Learners. Those of you who have been taking these accelerated online courses in this format will recognize perhaps the book because we use it in several of the courses. So different chapters will come to visit in 603 and in 605, and in a number of other courses will refer to these chapters. So in case you don't have a physical copy or a digital copy of the book, I've hyperlinked the PDF for the chapters, for chapters 10 and 11 for this week, for your reading pleasure. In addition, you will be reading a number of articles around team effectiveness, collective efficacy, professional learning communities. And those of you who have already had 671 organizational behavior in this accelerated online format, you will recognize several of the articles and the video on psychological safety of teams, because we also use those in one of the modules in organizational behavior. So for you, this will be a bit of a review. Several of those articles, and as I mentioned, that one video will be a review for you. There's some new readings in there as well. And for the rest of you, please enjoy. It's really this delve into what do we know about how we make teams more effective. And one of, I think, a foundational, fundamental concept is that of psychological safety. So you'll have an opportunity to look at that. You look at some internal coherence, at the idea of collective efficacy and PLCs. So some additional resources around that. During this week, your discussion board activity will really center around your key takeaways from PLC Plus. So this is our opportunity, since we're about halfway through the book, to really share with one another. What are our takeaways? What are we thinking about? What are our questions, our insights? What are the applications that we already see for this book? So that's the discussion board activity, and you'll be asked to create a visual component to accompany the discussion board and to help us get a picture or a view of what you're thinking about and how you're making sense of the materials from PLC Plus. Your assignment for this week is two-part. So there are two components of this written assignment. The first is to really look at the power of teams and collective efficacy. So you'll be asked to respond to the prompt, how can leaders or organizations improve the effectiveness of groups in order to help the school achieve its goals? How can a leader or organization harness the power of teams? And so again, that's one of those through lines that we'll come back to throughout several of the courses to really think about as leaders, whether it's teacher leaders or admin leaders, and as organizations, how do we make sure that we're making the most of the individuals and also of the collective within our organization? The second part of that written assignment is to once again look at a professional learning design. So it's the idea of drafting a design, and this time around really thinking about job embedded professional learning for a school or team initiative or need, and thinking about how you could collaboratively organize and plan for professional learning opportunities. So remember, this week we're really talking about the power of collaboration, of thinking about the team, of thinking about how do you harness that effectiveness and that collective efficacy. So this draft is around how do you engage others in collaboratively organizing and planning and perhaps even implementing and evaluating the professional learning experiences. So be sure to discuss in your plan the resources needed, and that could be the human resources, the material resources, the capital, the time, the energy, the materials, all of that, the technology. Also include the learning design approach. So in Module 3, we really thought about all of the different learning design approaches that are out there for our consideration. You'd include the pre-work needed with the team. So how do you make sure that your team is set up for success so that they have an opportunity to really have the skill sets and the competencies to work well together in order to come out of that professional learning experience in a successful kind of way. And then think about the implementation plan and how you will know if the professional learning opportunity was successful or not. So that's that evaluation piece that we always want to continue to embed in our planning. I hope you have a wonderful week of learning as you further explore the power of collaboration and how we can make sure that our schools and districts, our teams, are as effective as possible. So enjoy the module, and I look forward to seeing your work in the assignment Dropbox and of course on the discussion board.